From Wall Street to Main Street, this is Lalate.
It's a big evening of evenings, LA, direct from Santa Monica, California, as congressional leaders overnight passed your $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill. Yes, the House Subcommittee for Budget passes the recon $3.5 trillion quickly in a Saturday late night vote, which means that the House floor could literally rubber stamp it and we're done on the House. But not so fast, because Nancy Pelosi is saving it because she's still negotiating with the Senate. I'll go over the latest details, but boy, we are seeing finish line here, folks. It's a big, huge evening's show, and I told you it was going to be a big weekend with a lot of breaking news. We went into the weekend with Pelosi's office, Omar Jalapal, and AOC, telling viewers, along with no less than a half dozen senators, including Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, telling 1,000 viewers of this channel that there will be an MSC provision in there, IRS, and that was the world exclusive, that check would be $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000 running for up to 6 months. We will see as the first pages of these bills are released potentially on Monday. It's a 2,400-page bill. I have its name. I have all the details of what is going on. And in this recording, we go over the voting process. We'll go over cluster number 1, 2, and 3's checks because they got in there. We'll be cutting to the big surprise about third stimulus, which has another cash confusion going out to these counties and states. We go over what's going on with the debt ceiling limit. And then, in a night in which we're still grasping with the passage of the recon on a Saturday night, I go over what could happen with the vote tomorrow. Yes, it's moving very quickly. It's a big evening. It's a big Sunday night. And I told you there was going to be a lot happening. The toast was toasted. The butter was buttering on mornings. But tonight on evenings, boy, there's a lot happening. And this is Evenings LA. Hey, good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful weekend, and thank you for seeing me all weekend long. I had promised you that it was going to be a big major news weekend, and that there was going to be news coming out by the minute, by the hour, and it did. We have a passage of your recon in the middle of a Saturday night going into a Sunday morning. In this recording on a Sunday night, and yes, this is a new show, you're going to go over what happened and what's happening next. A recon pass, $3.5 trillion. Purple Hawks, there's cluster after cluster of checks confirmed in there. But what about the MSC IRS check? No less than 1,000 viewers have been told it's in there by congressional staffers. Did it come to fruition? I have all those details and more. I'll be going over the voting process for Monday, potentially, and what happens then. It's a big night. There's a lot breaking news just past your $3.5 trillion recon, and this is Lalate, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. That's why you want to be a viewer of this channel, because when world events that impact you become a reality, you want to be tuned here. Broadcast media not reporting on a Sunday, not covering this, and when they come back on Monday, they'll be 2 days behind the story. The news starts first here, and that's why you want to subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. Next stop, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Let's go over the details, starting right now. Late Saturday night, from their cars, their kitchens, their restaurant dining rooms, and even from the golf courses, congressional leaders from the Democrat and Republican parties called in to vote on the House Budget Subcommittee on a $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill. The final vote passed. The House Democratic Budget Committee passed a $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill late Saturday night. All the provisions that have been covered on this channel and more are in there, But we do not still know about the MSC IRS stimulus check. Going into the weekend, Pelosi's office told no less than a dozen viewers of the channel it was in there, that AOC Omar and Jalapal had written it $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000. But all the other checks, hazard pay, checks for seniors, checks for vehicles, checks for prescription medication, they all got in there. In fact, they're cited in some of the news releases on the Sunday morning after that vote. Here's what you need to know, is that normally on any single day, I would simply tell you that tomorrow they can call this for a vote on the House floor and it will be passed in just 10 seconds. But why is this different? Because in this case, Nancy Pelosi specifically said this Saturday night, that she did not want to necessarily ramp it up for a vote quickly because she's still negotiating with the Senate. The Senate is part of the equation here, and while it's passed, we're not yet over the finish line. Let's go over all the incredible details of that. And in this recording, there's a lot in here. I'm going to go over the voting process. I'm going to go over what's happening tomorrow, what happened last night. Stay to the very end. There's a lot in tonight's breaking news of Evenings LA. Over the last 3 weeks, no less than 1,000 viewers have gotten confirmation from over 24 Democratic House and Senate members that there is a monthly stimulus check provision, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000 running for 6 months. And we will have to wait and see until we see the bill if their representations were correct to the viewers of this channel. That bill, the representations from Sanders, Coons, Warren, Casey, and Wyden is that it's in there. The representations from AOC, Omar, and Jalapal and Pelosi, that it's in there. The bill passed on Saturday night in subcommittees. The subcommittee called the House Budget Committee is 2,400 pages. Its name, Build Back Better America. The Build Back Better plan has 2,400 pages that was really the combination of different committees, and they put it to the House Budget Committee. Why is this critical? Because the House Budget Committee approves the spending, and they approved it, meaning that all the House has to do is basically rubber stamp it with a quick ceremonial vote on the House floor, which would pass. But Pelosi late last night said, you know what? I'm still negotiating with the Senate. So while we passed it on the House Budget Committee, and this is ostensibly the finish line for the House, I'm still calling for a vote. More about this in a second. But boy, the first 645 pages that I detailed over the last week and a half on this channel, they got in there. Cluster number 2 got in there reportedly. And cluster number 3, let's cut first the 645 pages. Remember, the recon has nothing to do with COVID. It is just a bill for life in general going forward for this country. In the first 645 pages, now the 2,400 page bill, there is money in there for hazard pay, seniors, children, $51,000 of MSE with a new modification, and also bikes, cars, college grants, and the home. Let's start with hazard pay. Yes, after nearly 500 advocacy videos on this channel in 2020, pushing legislators to get advocacy as a permanent fixture of the American landscape, it has happened. Hazard pay will be a permanent fixture of the American landscape by a modification of an old tax code called the Earned Income Tax Credit, EIC, so that essential workers qualify for it, broadening the eligibility and then expanding the amount of money. Then a big surprise, that $4,000 got in there, up to $4,000 to care for an elderly person at home. Huge for a lot of care providers. We're waiting for more about those details. And up to $4,000 to care for a young child. College grants got in there. The Pell's grant made tax-free. College grants to the university and college grants directly to the students as well. Then home repairs in a low-income community. They got in there. There's new incentives to repair homes in low-income communities. Then $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks. Oh, yes, it got in there with a twist. The CTC is now a landscape, part of the permanent landscape of the federal government. They're going to make this permanent. If you have a child and you're born in a low-income household, then that child gets up to $300 a month every month for up to 18 years. Let's do the calculation. If that child is born today, then that child will get up to $300 every month, every year, for up to 18 years if the family remains a low-income household. And on the show right before this, the new Afternoons LA show that aired today, with 3 new shows today, mornings, afternoon, and evenings, because watch for the red shirt, you'll see what were the new shows today. I sort of broke down a little bit because of a wonderful provision they got into, that modification of the CDC. What do? There's a lot of kids out there that are being raised by someone that's not their father, not their mother, not their relative because they died or because they're not around with us anymore. And unfortunately, under third stimulus, that person who's raising the child got Zippo. Well, they understood that situation and they cared, because legislators do care, and they got it in there. That child will get the money even if the parents have passed and someone else now has to raise that child. It's a great provision. Then they got money in there also for bikes, cars, and vehicles. Wow. So if you want to buy a new electric bike, up to 15% of the purchase price. New electric vehicle up to $7,500 for the purchase price, and a new electric truck up to $7,500, both for personal and business use. It got in there. Wow. In a second, we're going to go over cluster number 2 and cluster number 3, which got in there as well. There are a lot of checks, up to $1,700 a week. But boy, let's take a breather for just a second and look at third stimulus. It's huge. An additional $13 billion is going out to cities, counties, and states for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. Treasury made the announcement about a week ago, so I want you to get the money. I'm going to go over it later in this video, so stay with me. It's money you can get. Treasury is happy to provide the state and local with additional resources to support Americans in time of rental assistance. All right, let's cut to the second cluster of checks. It's huge. It's deliciousness. It's a lot of money. And it got into the 2,400 Build Back Better America bill. Well, there is money for paid family leave and paid medical leave. Family leave, you have to stay at home because the wife is pregnant. Medical leave, you have to stay home because the child broke his leg. How much does it pay? A fortune. Under third stimulus, it's supposed to pay $1,700 a week if you make $75,000 more. Split in half. $35,000 a year, that would be $800 a week. $15,000 a year annual salary, $400 a week. Wow. Then we got no less than 12 different checks in this second cluster. Checks for childcare programs, checks for tax credits, checks for elderly like dental, vision, hearing, and checks for Medicare Eligibility Act. Then checks for weatherizing the home. Very useful, especially if the Purple Hawks are on the roof and your Fox News. Weatherizing your home, definitely huge. Checks in there for Hurricane Alley, tornado zone, fire zone as well. Then we have more checks for students, free community college, free pre-kindergarten, and then tuition-free community college across the country. Very helpful, especially people who want to take that foreign language class called What the World Does Lalate Say? I Don't Understand Him 101. They talk really strange out in LA, and in Los Angeles, their accent is just a strange dialect. So you can take the foreign language about Los Angeles accents at your local community college. Then we got green energy checks and more. Wow. In a second, I can go to the cluster number 3. But how did we get here? We got here, ironically, because of what I've been reporting. Over the last 3 months, I had delivered you a couple exclusives, which I said what was going to happen. And guess what? It happened. I said that the negotiations would be between the House and Senate Democrats. It did. And in fact, that's what Nancy's still doing tonight into Monday. I told you that the House subcommittees would be writing up the legislation. They did. That they would finalize the whole bill. They did. 2,400 pages. That the subcommittees of the House would vote first. They did. That the House would be voting first. They are. It's sort of the same thing. Yeah, it's a recurring theme here. It's sort of accuracy. Just sort of accurate. And that is what's happening. So what happens next? What happens next is there's a series of major votes happening in the next few hours. Yes, hours. And then days. Stay with me. I'll explain this voting process coming up in a second later in this video. But let's cut to cluster number 3. I feel like some more checks, don't you? Yeah, let's get some more checks. These got in there as well. These are the president's checks, and these are deliciousness with a $107 billion world exclusive coming up in a second. Free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for internet, checks for workers, independent contractors, checks for seniors, like lowering Medicare eligibility age, dental, vision, and hearing. Well, there's a $107 billion exclusive in there. And what is it? 2 weeks ago, the Senate parliamentarian ruled one of the provisions in there does not belong, has to go out. What was it? The judiciary. Doesn't concern you. But I went back in my old notes because I keep a lot of notes off camera you can't really see. And I found it. It's $107 billion. That means that they allocate that $107 billion to you. There's 2 checks in this third cluster, which the president particularly likes. I like because they're automatic. The first one is checks for prescription, and then checks, and then free internet. The prescription is a little like this. You go to a pharmacy today and pay for a prescription. You take out two $20 bills. And then this becomes law. Then the next time you go, you may only have to take out one $20 bill, keeping a $20 in your bill in your wallet, an instant savings. Then free internet. They're going to go to fortune cities, counties, and states that can offer free internet programs, free internet connection to you. So all you have to do is say, hey, what's the Wi-Fi connection? The username is Blaine66, and the password is Scarf101. There you go. In the second half of this video, we have a lot coming up. The House is voting on the bipartisan infrastructure tomorrow. So does that mean our stuff gets voted on first? Does it get voted on second? I'll explain the details. I'll go over when we're likely to see the 2,400-page bill and if the bill is the finish line or not the finish line. Is it etched in stone or is it not etched in stone? We'll be going over the fifth stimulus, we'll be going over third stimulus, and we'll be going over the debt ceiling limit. It is slightly impacting the work schedule of this, but in a good way. Nancy Pelosi has something very interesting set up for that as well. And then we'll be going back to the IRS MSC check, as no less than 1,000 viewers of this channel have been told by congressional leaders on both the Senate and House side that it's in there, that it's monthly, that's $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000, that Nancy wanted it higher. She wanted $1,400 a month, couldn't get in. She wanted 12 months, couldn't get it. She got 6 months, $1,000 after the first month of $2,000, running 6 months. Let's see if they got it in there. It's coming up as this evening's Lalate breaking news report continues. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as this big extended broadcast continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate. And the excitement continues right now, direct from Santa Monica, California, in a big night as a breaking news alert comes in. As congressional leaders surprise everyone and pass a $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill on a Saturday night. Yes, they did. And as we go into a Sunday evening, I have the world exclusive of what's going on. I have my impressions of what could happen with the vote tomorrow. I have the latest details, and we'll be cutting back to that recon and going more in details about what's been represented and what's been promised, including that monthly stimulus check. We'll be cutting to fourth stimulus, and we'll be cutting to fifth stimulus. Over to third stimulus with that new cash infusion, and then a little bit about the debt ceiling limit, because guess what? Nancy's actually working this debt ceiling limit to her benefit. I'll explain to you why. It's a big night. It's a big evenings as the $3.5 trillion recon bill has passed the House subcommittee and can literally be rubber stamped tomorrow on the House floor. This is LA, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Let's go right into the surprise as an additional $13 billion is landing in your city, county, and state. Let's go over the details. The President of the United States surprised everyone with an additional $13 billion for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance, and no one saw this coming. It started going out 2 weeks ago. It's there. Red, blue, rich or poor, city, county, or state, it's humming. And I want you to get the money. So get a pen, paper, cell phone ready. Let's get the money. Let's start with rent. It's gone up 200%, utilities up 300%, and SNAP up 400% from where viewers were getting the money just less than a month ago. When we look at the money for rent a month ago, this is what it looked like, $20,000. Well, guess what? Jen got $40,000 about a week ago. Countless viewers are getting over $30,000. When we talk about utilities, Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities, a 300% increase. You remember Mark, $51,000 Mark? That's Mark. Well, utilities have gone up 300% now to $15,000. When we talk about SNAP, Mark's brother-in-law got $21,000 in just a few days ago. Get a pen, paper ready. I'm going to show you how to get this big money and also the nonprofits. All right, here you go. I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. They have different eligibility. They have different pots of money. Number 2, listen to the keywords I say in this video. It helps get people approved. And finally, listen for the nonprofits. Here are the 6 places you're going to reach out to. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage, or utility assistance because of COVID. Let's go over the 6 places again. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. Now, if you're a member of this channel, which I hope you are, the newsletter delivered daily from me to you Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time has in there the new Treasury statement about that $13 billion. I want you to read that so that when you call up, you know what you're asking about. If you got money before, I want you to get more money. If you got money, if you haven't got to money and they said we're out of the money, I want you to call up and see if they have the money. If they don't, ask to be on a waiting list. If they don't have one, say, can I call you tomorrow? Then, utility companies. If you got 5, I want you to reach out to all 5 of your utility companies. Utility assistance because of COVID. And then finally, the nonprofits. Wow, what a big success story. The nonprofits have been huge overnight payers for viewers of this channel in less than a week. One viewer wants you to know that St. Vincent de Paul paid his rent in less than 24 hours. Another viewer, turnaround town in 24 hours, 4th United Way. Also, some nonprofits have been paying incredible items. One viewer got a refrigerator, furnace, and a brand new window fixed as well. Here are the 5 nonprofits, all different across the board, how they do things. United Way, Salvation Army, United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charity, St. Vincent de Paul. What's important to understand about the nonprofits is they just do things differently. I've done nearly 500 videos about them in a show called Purple that ran on 2020 to early 2021 on this channel. That show detailed how the nonprofits really pay for stuff differently. First of all, they pay for third stimulus items through different eligibility, and then they pay for items that the federal government would never pay for, like homelessness into shelters, money for clothing, sometimes small appliances. So reach out to them. Let's go over those 5 places again. United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. They're featured also in the nightly newsletter for members of this channel. All right, let's cut to SNAP. SNAP is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. The average benefit is going up an average of 25% lifetime. Wow. Department of Agriculture made the announcement, and so Mark and his brother-in-law going up to about $26,000 a year. Now, there has been some confusion because there's 2 letters that are going out on the mail. The first says your benefits are going down. The next one says your benefits are going up. Why? Your benefits were raised up from January to September because of 2 executive orders. So you get a letter saying that's over, you're going back down. Then there's a letter behind it that comes later that says your benefits are going up an average of 25% lifetime. So watch for that second letter. Then unemployment benefits. Yes, unemployment benefits are being paid out from your state due to overpayment of computer error. Average payment is about $2,000 to $5,000. Reach out to your state for that. And then the refund check from IRS for that 2020 tax return. You paid taxes on the unemployment benefits. It's coming. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. Average payment is about $1,000 to $1,200, $2,200. 5 years on the live chat, you got any of these sums of money posted in the live chat. And lastly, if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Members are delivered from me to them via the YouTube page, Monday through Friday, the newsletter. It features all the big money you can get under first, second, and third stimulus. When fourth stimulus happens, and it becomes law of everything in there to show you how, as a member, you can get this big sums of money. That's why viewers like Johnny, 80,000, Lorraine, 100,000, Mark's brother-in-law, 50, 60,000, Johnny's family, 100,000. A lot people are getting big sums of money all the time from this channel. I want you to get that money as well. And I want you to make yourself a promise. I want you to get money as far into the future. If you're a Nisi or an Art Sullivan who got money before, I want you to go get more money. If you haven't gotten money, I want you to get money. If you've reached out to one organization, they've used up the money, then go to another organization. I want you to get the money as far as you can in the future for rent, utilities. The nonprofits are not getting that many calls at the moment because it's not yet winter. Don't wait till winter, because once that comes on and it's cold and people need help with their heating oil, they get a lot of calls. Call now when it's a warmer time of the year and get the money as far as you can. And there we go. And with that, we go into the final 15 minutes of this video with an extended final 15, because guess what? There's a lot of breaking news today. On a Saturday night, from their cars, from their kitchen tables, from their verandas, House Democrat and House Republicans called in to vote for the House Subcommittee, the House Budget Committee, approval of a $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill, and it passed. It passed. This is huge. What does this mean? It means that if they call this for a vote on the House floor tomorrow, it would pass in a second. It would mean that one of the two bodies or branches of government, House and Senate, has passed your recon. This is huge. Buried and not really front page news. And people always say, why is no one else talking about it? I don't know. I don't own those channels. I don't own the number 3 U.S. broadcast channels. But guess what? None of them were even talking about this event today. It's a big event. It's a big event. How many talked about it? 0. How many YouTube channels talked about it? I don't think anyone else even knew it happened. It wasn't on their web. It wasn't on the number broadcast news channels websites. It wasn't anywhere. It was buried on a very good political conservative publications website. It was just sort of slanted in there. I'm like, my goodness, this is why you tune into this channel. What does this mean? It means if they called it for a vote on the House tomorrow, today, it would pass in a second. But why is it not being called for a vote just so soon? Because Nancy Pelosi made very clear in her statements last night to press, or Saturday night to press, that, she wants to still negotiate with the Senate. The next few days will be a time of intensity, the Speaker said in a new statement released. Negotiations continue with the Senate. In fact, individuals like John Yarmouth, who's the House Budget Chairman, said, ideally, we could have had a complete agreement, but we're still dealing with the Senate. And this is huge. Now, let's go to the IRS MSC checks. Over the last 3 weeks, no less than 1,000 viewers have been told by House Democrats and Senate Democrats they're in there. So we still have to see the 2,400-page bill to see if they are in there as they so represented. And if they are in there, good. If they aren't in there, we're not done advocating. If they are in there, we're also not done advocating, because they can be taken out. Something in there, taken out. Something not in there, added in. They can still modify. And that is why even that CTC modification on a Saturday night, that they really modified it dramatically to get more people to qualify that are raising kids that are not blood relatives. That was a huge change. And as Pelosi says, we're still making modifications down to the last second. So over the last 8 weeks, this is what's happened. 8 weeks ago, I told viewers to pick up the phone and advocate. Advocate for a stimulus check and make history again, as we made history by getting a second stimulus check into the second stimulus package, the CR for stimulus. And WR, longtime viewer of this channel, picked up the phone and advocated, called Chris Coons' office, said, I need a stimulus check. And Senator Chris Coons' office told WR, it's in there. MSC stimulus check is in there. Then 3 weeks ago, the universe sort of changed very quickly. At the time, I was telling viewers the House will be writing the bill, I believe, exclusively. I was right. That the House would vote first in subcommittees. I was right. That the House on the House floor would vote first on the recon. We're now knowing that's happening as well. And that we have two different bodies. We have the House Budget Committee and the Senate Budget Committee. And Bernie Sanders, as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, is critical because he got the $3.5 trillion price tag to us. Well, it turned out he was critical. Because that week, Bernie Sanders told press that unlike other Senate budget chairmen, I like to get out amongst the people when I'm doing a recon. And that was what I said at the time, is a call to action. It translates what he's saying is I need to hear from you. What you want, advocate to me. And I told viewers to advocate to Bernie Sanders, call him up and advocate. And Brother Joshua did, Lynn Glenn, and also Margaret did. And Brother Joshua really embodied the true spirit of advocacy. What does advocacy for stimulus look like? It looks like the following. The two biggest examples of advocacy that I've seen on this channel in a very, very long time. One viewer named Margaret picked up the phone and called, and not only was so overwhelmed by advocating for it that she broke down the phone, and the caller, the listener from the Senate staffer, also broke down in tears. Then this viewer calling and saying, listen, I need a stimulus check. I lost my husband during the pandemic. I had 10 surgeries during the pandemic. I am raising 2 teenage daughters on just an SSDI check. It ain't going to cut it. And the viewer and the staff are breaking down in tears. Advocacy looks like this. I need a stimulus check. My family needs it. My community needs it. My church needs it. And that's what Brother Joshua did 3 weeks ago to Bernie Sanders' office. And they said yes. Bernie Sanders is inserting a monthly stimulus check provision, $1,000 and $1,400, 3 to 6 months. There you go. It was a world exclusive at the time. It was a world exclusive with Chris Coons, but people still said, but it's just Bernie. And that was our call to action to call as many senators' offices as we can. And we did. And one after another, they told the viewers of the channel, nearly 1,000 viewers, that there is an MSC provision in that recon. Let's see what they represented, what they said over those weeks. The snow really started moving with the incredible movement from Donnie, picking up the phone saying, I need a stimulus check. My city needs it. My family needs it. I need it to progress. I need it for everything I have. Hurricane Tina tells us that she really showed big advocacy. And Sanders' office saying, yes, they're doing it. Caroline saying, I need it. My family needs it. People losing their homes. Sanders' office saying, yes, there's a monthly stimulus check in there. Then Lori getting the same confirmation from Sanders' office. Yaya calling Ron Wyden's office saying, listen, I need that monthly stimulus check. And Ron Wyden's office confirming there's an MSC in there. And then Will took us to another level. He didn't just advocate with one office, he advocated with all three. And all three said there's an MSC in there. Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, and Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren was perhaps the most telling. $1,400 to $2,000, Warren's office told Will, which is consistent with what other viewers were told in the last 7 days from Pelosi's office, that Pelosi wanted to go big and bold like Warren, but couldn't get all the Democrats on board with it. Lorica had a bombshell for us 2 weeks ago when Bob Casey's office told Lorica that they're currently under negotiations with the reconciliation budget bill's inclusion of those MSCs at the time. By that point, we had Schumer, Sanders, Warren, Casey, Coons, the big players in the Senate Democrats, all their staffers telling over and over viewers of this channel that there's a monthly stimulus check, IRS check in there. And at that time, I said, okay, let's now focus on the House Democrats, AOC, Jayapal, Pelosi. We got lucky. I got lucky. You got lucky. Why? Because I didn't know at the time that Nancy Pelosi was the #1 negotiator for the inclusion of the MSC. Her staff telling countless viewers of the channel, including Dragon and Paul, that she was the lead negotiation for the inclusion of the stimulus check, telling Mark that the negotiations were near finalized by the early part of this week, and AOC, Omar, Pelosi, and Jayapal's office all telling countless viewers of the channel it got in there. $1,000 a month after the first month of 2006 months. Pelosi reportedly wanted more money. She wanted $1,400 to $2,000 a month like Liz Warren, couldn't get it, and wanted it 1 year, couldn't get it. But Paul made that phone call 2 weeks ago. When I said call Omar, call Jayapal, call Pelosi, we need to start pushing on the House side as much as the Senate side. And that's what Paul did. He picked up the phone and Paul called AOC's office. And AOC's office wrote they're doing $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000 for 6 to 12 months. Janice called Jayapal's office. And Jayapal said, yes, she's doing a forced stimulus check. It's in there. And Janice also called Omar's office and got the same confirmation. By this last Monday, Mark called Pelosi's office, and Pelosi's office told Mark that they are near finalization of negotiation for the inclusion of $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, 3 to 6 months. And then the continuation. by this week. Pelosi and Omar's office both telling Paul $1,000 a first month, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000 for 6 months. Dragon gained the same confirmation. Lynn Glenn gained the same confirmation from Jalapal's office. And Ida gained the same confirmation from Omar's office, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000. That is what advocacy gets you. That is what advocacy gets you. And what I want you to know is that with a $2,400 page reconciliation budget bill now passed, you got to advocate because the bill is not the finish line. The checks are either in there or not in there, or in there the wrong way or in there the right way. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is, you got to advocate before the vote on the bill, after the vote on the bill, when in the Senate, and then when voting on the Senate. You have to advocate. And what I said over Saturday was pick up the phone and call Jalapal, Omar, and Pelosi and AOC's office. You now need to call also the Senate Democrats' offices. Why? As Pelosi says, we are still in negotiations. We'll continue with the Senate. For purposes of how they've approached it, the House looks to the Senate now to make sure the Senate is fine with what that 2,400-page bill passed last night looks like. And the Senate's not fine with something, they'll make it clear. And if you think there's something that needs to be fixed, they'll make it clear back to the House as well. Now let's cut over shortly to fifth stimulus, budget, the debt ceiling limit, and also the voting process. Let's start with that voting process. This Monday is going to be fascinating. As Pelosi says, the rapid intensity of things happening is really upon us. If you've been with this channel for a while, you know that I had a graphic that said that the voting on everything is expected to be done by September 30th, and that a lot of people were talking about September 27th as a date. Well, on Friday, Nancy Pelosi told press that the vote on the bipartisan, the roads and bridges, the infrastructure, is this Monday. That was part of her negotiations with the problem creator. Yeah, that guy from Jersey or New York. And her deal with him was that she would absolutely call the vote on the roads and bridges on Monday. On Friday, Jalapal said the vote's going to fail. The roads and bridges vote is going to fail. What is happening with the vote? What is my impression of the situation? And what do I think is going on? There's a series of permutations I think that are playing out. One, Pelosi agreed that she's calling the vote for the roads and bridges on Monday. She didn't say what time on Monday. Yeah, so it's very possible she can call the vote on the recon minutes before the vote on the roads and bridges. She didn't promise the roads and bridges would go first. She just gave them a date. She didn't give them a time either. That's the first thing. The second one is, let's say she just calls a vote on the roads and bridges on Monday and doesn't call the recon for a vote at all. What the House Democrat progressives have said they're going to do is they're going to vote down. They're going to vote against the roads and bridges, so it fails because the roads and bridges people are just adamant about getting their vote. Okay, here's your vote. You lost. Now let's go do our recon. Oh, and then once the recon passes on the House floor, then recall, this is my prediction, recall the vote on the roads and bridges and then pass it. I think that's probably, if I was to guess what's going to happen, I'm guessing they're going to do that. Call the roads and bridges for a vote, vote it down. Call the recon, vote it up. Then recall the vote on the roads and bridges, vote it up. It's sort of like, don't mess with us. It's sort of like, you want to mess with us, we'll mess right back with you. Remember, Nancy Pelosi determines when things are called for a vote. She made the deal that the roads and bridges would call on Monday, but she say what time on Monday. Also, the debt ceiling limit is working in Nancy Pelosi's benefit. Let me explain to you why. When people have a lot of things that are important to do, they start to stay on the phone and talk and get everything done. When things are imminent and looming and important and right there and deadlines are coming up and things, they suddenly ramp up and start doing things quicker. You saw this in second stimulus. Remember when we put the CR, when we put the stimulus check in the CR? That went so quickly that I was on the beach recording on a Saturday. I'm talking about Toomey with a Toomey provision, and then Sunday with Mitt Romney doing something, and then Monday was done. It was like, what? It's just instantly done. When they see things that are moving very, very quickly, they move very, very quickly. Well, this debt ceiling limit is sort of like 2020, where Nancy's on the phone with Steve Mnuchin doing negotiations for us, and then she's like, oh, by the way, can we do this debt ceiling limit? Yeah, we're on the phone. Let's just get that done as well. It also has the element of compromise, because the bipartisan is the element of compromise, the roads and bridges. So is the debt ceiling limit. And so she's working this in her behalf by saying, hey, you want to get to the debt ceiling limit? Well, take care of my, infrastructure and my roads, take care of my recon, and let's get that done as well. It is very likely that the recon will be called for a vote in the next 48 hours. It's very likely that the recon bill will be debuted in the next 48 hours. The recon bill is not a bill in its true format yet, because it's not on the House floor. It's not given an HR number yet. It is a draft of something that is going to be a bill, but that draft can still get modified by the negotiations of the Senate. It's important to understand that once it's called for a vote on the House, it's passed in a second. It's passed in a second. She has all the votes, and then the vote would be simply ceremonial anyway. Then it goes off to the Senate, and that is another push. Now let's go over to FISH stimulus. Raise your benefits up if you're on SSI, SDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, and Veterans benefits. Applies a new benchmark. The new benchmark's inflation. Removes the asset cap, removes the income cap. When does it happen? Probably about December. Vote around November-ish. Impacts your benefits then. I'm saying inflation is going about 5%. I think I'm right. People say it may even be higher. I'm certainly higher than the Federal Reserve. That means your benefits will go up not just 5% next year, a lifetime. It's huge. Then finally, the debt ceiling limit. It's something I have to stay on point for because it's out there, and we've gone through this twice before on this channel, and it's very important you know where your money is. If you are a recipient of Social Security checks, SSI checks, you're an active service member and you get checks from the military, or you're a federal employee, you work at a federal agency, your checks are coming on time. I need to tell you that. So your checks are coming on time. Only if the debt ceiling limit problem goes 2 months in December, this becomes an issue. If we're doing this in December, we will address the situation then. But in the year this channel has been around, we've missed debt ceiling limits before. A day, a few days, a week, 2 weeks. No biggie. It happens all the time. Finally, is your money coming out of the debt ceiling limit, the recon money? No, the recon money is not out of the debt ceiling limit. Debt ceiling limit is paid for existing law, not to pay for proposed law. And finally, does it impact the work schedule? It does not impact the work schedule. The work schedule, the debt ceiling limit has already been passed by the House. It's now in the Senate. All right, let's recap to understand where we are as we go into a big night. It's a day in which we've had 3 breaking news reports. Mornings, afternoons at 3 o'clock, and this show, the Red Shirt shows today. I wanted to make that very clear because it's a day in which there's a lot of breaking news. Coming up later are a series of shows, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I want you to watch those shows because you're going to be laser focused on how to get checks. What about Direct Express Card by Comerica? How do I do this? How do I do that? Those videos are chock full of information because it explains how to track checks when they're sent out. What's important for you to know is that I want you to do 2 things for yourself. 1, I want you to reach out to those nonprofits. I want you to reach out to get that money for third stimulus as well. And then I want you to be ready to start calling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. On Saturday, I said just call the House Democrats. I'm changing that. I want you to call the Senate Democrats again as well. I want you not only call AOC, Jalapal, Pelosi, Omar, and advocate for why you need it, but also call over the Senate Democrats, because as Pelosi says, the Senate Democrats are part of the equation. We would be done and called for a vote and finalized on the House floor right now if it wasn't for the Senate Democrats, who Nancy Pelosi is still negotiating with. So if the Senate Democrats hear from you something, they'll communicate it back to Pelosi. That's how the sort of movement of the information is currently working, says Pelosi. It's important to understand that while we have a 2,400-page bill draft called Build Back Better America passed, we are not over the finish line. We have a House floor vote. There could be modifications before that vote. There could be modifications after that vote. There could be modifications when it lands in the Senate. There could be modifications before the Senate vote. We have a lot of opportunity to make changes. So advocate to the finish line until the president signs it into law. Keep on pushing. Remember, not Bill yet, not law yet. And until we are there, we have those emojis and we have each other. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. Reckon I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 2,000 to 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Thank you deeply for staying with this channel Saturday and Sunday. So I was talking and delivering all this exclusive breaking news to you. I'm glad that you did not miss a beat on anything. Stay with me all this coming week, because as Nancy Pelosi says, this next week, next few days will be a time of intensity. And the intensity is here, and this is Evenings Lalate.